What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be speaking about having your Neptune falling in your partner's 7th house in SYNASTRY. When it comes to Neptune and Neptune's effect on a relationship, it really does bring in the sense of being able to connect on a deeper emotional level and have that deep emotional bond. Wherever Neptune is can really show where they can both experience a sense of a deep spiritual connection as well. And when it comes to Neptune, this does also show a planet that can be very romantic, and it can also bring in a sense of romanticness into the relationship between two people. And when it comes to Neptune, it also is a pretty compassionate energy when it comes to this planet, and there can also be unconditional love where Neptune resides. And while it can actually be a very beautiful energy, there can also be some, on the other hand, there can also be some challenges when it comes to having Neptune, because with Neptune can also bring illusions, and with that there can also be some possible potential issues with disillusionment and also bringing in confusion. And in some cases it can even be deceptive because of the lack of groundedness. It can also mean that there can be a lack of clarity around wherever the Neptune is falling into the charts. So it does rely on how the partners in the relationship with the Neptune placement handle the Neptune energy in their relationship for it to really help the relationship rather than hurt it. And on the other hand, when it comes to the 7th house, this is the house of partnership. And when it comes to the 7th house, this is the house that's really going to be looked at to be able to get more information about the long-term compatibility between two people entering into a partnership. Because this house represents the potential for a partnership and what a person is attracted to in a partnership and what they look for in a partnership. And so when it comes to having somebody's planets coming into your 7th house, they both tend to have a focus on partnership. And when someone's Neptune is falling into your 7th house, this is really going to be a very inspiring energy that the Neptune person is bringing to the 7th house person. For the Neptune person themselves, they may be feeling the sense of a deeply emotional and spiritual connection with the 7th house person, and they can view the 7th house person as the ideal partner in this relationship. There's just something very alluring about this relationship to the Neptune person with the 7th house person. It feels quite strong. Despite any sense of confusion, any sense of vulnerability that it also brings for them, they still feel this very strong sense of allure towards the 7th house person and this relationship with them. And they are especially drawn towards the 7th house person's energy. And they may feel this relationship is one that has the potential to be very transformative or healing in some way. And that's something that's also further drawing the Neptune person into this relationship with the 7th house person. And when it comes to the 7th house person and how they feel about the Neptune person, they can feel a strong romantic attraction towards the Neptune person. And when it comes to the 7th house person, they have the potential of viewing the Neptune person through this idealized lens. There may be this sense of mystery to the Neptune person that also attracts the 7th house person even more when it comes to how they are drawn to the Neptune person's relationship. But they can also experience that the relationship with the Neptune person also is one with a lot of emotional depth. When it comes to the Neptune person, there's this feeling of being able to feel a sense of a safe space to be able to be vulnerable with someone. And that's because there's the sense of having emotional soothing in the relationship when it comes to Neptune and what it can bring to the relationship between two people. And with the 7th house person, they can even feel the sense of having emotional depth with the Neptune person, as well as having that spiritual connection. And in this relationship with the Neptune person, the 7th house person is really going to need to learn to balance what's really drawing them in on an emotional level in this relationship with the Neptune person, and their ability to actually see things clearly in this relationship as opposed to really idealizing things or overly romanticizing the way in which they're seeing things when it comes to the Neptune person or in this relationship with the Neptune person. But when it comes to the positives of this relationship with having your Neptune falling into your partner's 7th house, it is in them having a deep emotional connection and bond between the two of them. A bond that even feels like a very strong spiritual connection. And they can sense and feel this feeling of having found a soulmate in each other in this relationship with this overlay. The Neptune person triggers the 7th house person's more imaginative side of things, and also their sense of spiritual growth in this relationship with them. And it makes the relationship feel magical, like they feel understood by each other on a soul level. And that is because with the Neptune energy coming into this house, they do feel the sense of compassion being brought into this relationship, and they can often sense this feeling of having unconditional love towards each other in this relationship, and even unconditional compassion towards each other. And having Neptune coming into your partner's 7th house really does bring in more meaning and depth to the partnership in the relationship between two people. And overall, there's just a really strong emotional pull between the 7th house person and the Neptune person. But not only that, but it can also bring in a strong sense of romanticism into this relationship, and them both feeling like they found the ideal partner in each other. And it can be quite romantic as well. For the 7th house person, they can feel like they found the perfect partner in the Neptune person, especially because the connection on the emotional connection as well as the spiritual connection can be one that feels very deeply fulfilling for them with the Neptune person. And they can really bond over spiritual activities and artistic activities, because with Neptune coming into this house, it can also really bring out a very creative side into this relationship for both of the partners, as well as a very imaginative side in them. In their partnership, it can feel like it's a safe space to be able to share the more emotional and compassionate side of two people. And they can have a lot of empathy and a lot of compassion towards each other in this relationship. And also when it comes to the Neptune person in this house, the Neptune person can really understand the 7th house person on a deep level. Like they can understand intuitively the 7th house person's needs, the 7th house person's wants in this relationship. And they have the potential to be very supportive to the 7th house person because of it, which can make the 7th house person feel deeply cared about and feel safe in the relationship with the Neptune person. And emotionally, they can go deep with the Neptune person because there is this nurturing and healing energy that the Neptune person kind of brings into this relationship with them. However, when it comes to any kind of possible challenges with having this overlay, it is in how the 7th house person can be idealizing the Neptune person in this relationship. They may be viewing them as the perfect partner. They may be viewing them as even flawless, which can be an illusion and even a little bit unrealistic when it comes to their expectations of the Neptune person. And it can lead to disappointments. In this relationship with the Neptune person, the 7th house person especially may not be seeing things clearly, and they can be getting caught up in the fantasy of this relationship with the Neptune person. Because Neptune does tend to have the tendency of kind of blurring boundaries and even bring in a sense of confusion at times. Over time, they may feel disillusioned in this relationship with the Neptune person if they are not looking at things very clearly or are overlooking red flags. Because when it comes to Neptune energy, it is possible that the 7th house be very enchanted by the Neptune person to the point where they can ignore practical or problematic behaviors of the Neptune person in this relationship. Even just things like the direction that the relationship is going to take may be things that they may need to get clear about between the Neptune person and the 7th house person's relationship. Because with Neptune, it does bring in a very foggy energy as well, and that can also feel like a lot of confusion or uncertainty at times. And that uncertainty can be around things like where they stand in this relationship. And when it comes to the Neptune person, they may struggle with being fully present in this relationship with the 7th house person, and that can bring the potential of looking like the Neptune person has or struggles with commitments in this relationship with the 7th house person in the way that the 7th house person expects. And because the Neptune person kind of brings this sense of an emotional space where the 7th house person can feel safe, they have a strong spiritual connection, the 7th house person can come to rely on the Neptune person for emotional fulfillment and spiritual fulfillment in this relationship, which can also look like them giving a lot of themselves in this relationship with the Neptune person in order to maintain the relationship, which can also result in them kind of giving up or foregoing their needs, their values, to be able to accommodate the Neptune person in this relationship with them. And in this way, there can be an imbalance in this relationship between giving and receiving between the Neptune person and the 7th house person. Because the 7th house is the house of partnership and how we relate to others, this can really bring in this need to be able to actually learn a lot about compromise when it comes to dealing with other people. And when it comes to the relationship, it can take on the nature of romantic, friendship, or even business partnerships, where having equality in a relationship is also something they're also learning about and is going to be important in this dynamic between the two of them. So between the 7th house person and the Neptune person, they're either going to challenge the 7th house person to be able to create a sense of harmony and balance in their relationship, or they're going to experience this relationship as one filled with harmony. And for the 7th house person, they're really drawn to the Neptune person because they are seeing them as being someone who represents all of the qualities that they are looking for in a partner. And they also are viewing them as someone who has the ability to really fulfill a lot of their relationship needs. But Neptune can also really create this feeling of being caught up and swept up by their emotions in this relationship with them. So it's still also pretty important to stay grounded in reality as this relationship unfolds. Like things like just having really clear communication. And because this house does govern things like partnership, it is also a house that can lead to a really strong desire to want to be able to commit to each other in two people. So especially if it is planets like the sun coming into your 7th house, or the moon coming into your 7th house, or even Venus and Mars coming into your 7th house, they can be a strong indicator of a relationship leading to marriage, or just being able to see the person as having the qualities that you want in someone that you want to be able to commit to in that way, and just viewing a person like they have the potential to be a life partner. Well, that does it for this video on having your partner's Neptune falling into your 7th house in Synastry. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you found it helpful. And if you did, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe to the channel for more videos. Well, that is where I love and leave you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye guys.